Demands and standards may sound alike, but they create two entirely different worlds. A demand often carries pressure, commands, even threats. You must do this or else. It stems from the desire to control another person's behavior, to force them to change in order to suit you. When a relationship is built on demands, emotions easily turn into a power struggle where each side fights to win rather than build together. A standard is different. A standard is not an imposition, but a declaration of self-worth. This is who I am. This is what I accept. This is how I live. It does not require anyone to obey, but simply draws a clear boundary so others can choose, either align or walk away. A standard is clarity, not coercion. A high-value woman doesn't need to raise her voice or use sharp words to make a man act right. She doesn't turn love into endless arguments or mind games because she knows anything gained through pressure will crumble the moment that pressure disappears. She chooses silence when needed, but her silence is not surrender. It is a powerful statement. I will not engage in any interaction that diminishes my value. This steadiness makes others feel her strength, and they will either rise to meet her or remove themselves. Demands often make the listener feel judged and defensive, while standards inspire them to self-adjust. A demand is like a stick prodding someone forward. A standard is like a light at the end of the road, drawing them in willingly. She doesn't have to shout, "You must respect me," because her self-respect already makes others think twice before crossing the line. She doesn't have to say, "Don't disappear," without explanation, because the value she places on clarity and communication naturally repels those who thrive on ambiguity. The difference lies not only in the words spoken, but in the energy behind them. Demands often come from fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear of not being enough. Standards come from wholeness and the belief that one is worthy. When someone speaks from fear, they create pressure and avoidance. When they speak from wholeness, their words become an invitation to live at a higher level, not a sentence handed down. A high-value woman understands no one needs to be dragged to stay. Those who want to stay will stay. Those who want to leave, leave. She does not build relationships on force, but on voluntary choice and genuine compatibility. Her standards are not to test or make things hard for a man. They are to protect her heart, her time, and her energy. And because she upholds them, what comes into her life tends to be healthier, clearer, and more enduring. When a man hears a demand, he thinks about whether to comply just to avoid trouble. When he encounters a standard, he considers whether he is mature enough, respectful enough, and truly willing to align with it. Demands are short-term. Standards are long-term. Demands create external pressure. Standards ignite internal motivation. And when a woman enters a relationship with clear standards, she elevates not only herself, but also those fortunate enough to be close to her. Because in the end, a standard is not simply what she expects from others. It is how she lives, how she loves, and how she respects herself. A high-value woman's communication never carries the noise or theatrics of drama. She doesn't need to raise her voice, nor does she wield sharp words to overpower others. Her strength lies in the calm and steady clarity of her speech. Every word is chosen with care, not to win an argument, but to bring direction and understanding. Calmness is not passivity or weakness. It is the ability to steady her breath and keep her mind clear even when emotions run high. In situations where many would react in anger, she chooses to respond with wisdom. This steadiness compels others to truly listen. Being steady doesn't mean being rigid. She's open to hearing different perspectives, but she will not be swayed from her core values. When she sets a boundary, she states it once and holds firm, not bending to please or to avoid conflict. She knows a boundary only has meaning when it's consistently upheld. In love, if she senses a shift, fewer calls, slower replies, or growing ambiguity, she doesn't rush to accuse or attack. Instead, she might say, "I've noticed a change. If it's because you've lost interest, I respect that. But I value clarity and honesty. I'm not here to play guessing games." Short, direct, yet without bitterness. She lays out the truth and allows the other person to reveal their choice. This is why mature men respect her communication. They see she isn't seeking control, but transparency. She doesn't put them on the defensive. She invites them into a grown-up dialogue. Conversely, those who aren't serious quickly fade away, knowing they can't draw her into a web of ambiguity. Calmness is also her shield when faced with provocation or disrespect. She doesn't retaliate in anger because she knows anger cedes control. Instead, she responds briefly and firmly, "This way of speaking isn't okay with me. If it continues, I'll end the conversation." No raised voice yet, the message is unmistakably clear. She won't accept anything that diminishes her worth. Steadiness keeps her from being swept into someone else's emotional games. If someone tests her boundaries, she doesn't overlook it, hoping they'll change. She addresses it immediately before it escalates. This not only protects her, but sets the precedent that anyone who stays in her life must respect that standard. Importantly, she knows how to balance firmness with warmth. Her calm doesn't make her feel distant, it creates safety. When expressing her needs or feelings, she avoids blame-filled openers like "you always" or "you never," which trigger defensiveness. Instead, she says, "When this happens, I feel, and I'd like." This keeps the focus on solutions, not accusations. Her calm and steady communication also reveals who is truly serious. A man looking for games will quickly feel pressured by such clarity and opt out. But a man of value will see it as an invitation to deeper connection, knowing that clarity is the foundation of something lasting. Above all, she knows words only carry weight when backed by action. If she says she won't tolerate ambiguity but stays with someone who is unclear, her words lose their power. Her calm and steadiness are not just in her tone, but in her consistency. She doesn't speak more than she acts. Every word is a commitment to herself. Calm and steady communication is more than a skill, it's a reflection of self-respect. It shows she knows her worth and refuses to let anyone pull her down from it. That's why, when she speaks, people listen not because she's loud, but because every word carries the weight of respect for herself and for the relationship. Self-love is not a trendy slogan, nor is it a fleeting act of self-indulgence. It is a discipline, a long-term commitment to oneself that says, "I will not abandon who I am to chase after anyone or anything." A high-value woman understands this deeply, which is why she holds her integrity as a non-negotiable principle. She does not seek love as a way to fill an emptiness. She enters love already full, her mind steady, her spirit strong, her heart capable of healing itself. Everything a man brings is an addition, a gift, not a rescue. This keeps her from falling into dependency, where her happiness hangs precariously on someone else's mood or behavior. Keeping her integrity means never selling out her principles for fear of loss. She will not compromise her core values just to hold on to a relationship. If a man asks her to give up a part of herself in exchange for his presence, the answer is always no. She would rather lose him than lose herself. Many confuse self-love with selfishness, but the difference lies in intent. Selfishness is caring only for oneself while disregarding others. Self-love is caring for oneself in order to love and give in a healthy way without expecting repayment through emotional dependency. When she stands in wholeness, her love comes without demands. As an invitation to grow together, she maintains her integrity even in the height of passion. She loves fully, but never loses her ability to see reality. She knows where to draw the line between giving and blind sacrifice. She does not give to the point of depletion, then resent the other for not replenishing her. She gives because she chooses to, and she stops when she feels hurt or devalued. Her integrity also shows in how she protects her mental space. She does not allow anyone to bring chaos into her life, no matter how charming or special they may seem. If someone consistently brings tension, doubt, or insecurity, she walks away not out of anger but out of respect for herself. Self-love is also the ability to self-validate. She does not stand before the mirror seeking confirmation in another's eyes. She looks at herself and feels gratitude for the woman who survived lonely nights, who rose after every fall, and who keeps walking with an open heart. This recognition is not arrogance, it is a deep, quiet appreciation for her own journey. She also understands that holding her integrity sometimes means saying no to what she once desired. She may long for a relationship, but if it requires her to betray her boundaries, she will turn it down. She may be drawn to a man, but if he brings only instability, she will let go. Integrity keeps her from being driven by emotional hunger. It allows her to decide from reason and self-respect. A woman who loves herself and guards her integrity is difficult to manipulate. Sweet words, expensive gifts, or vague promises cannot blind her. She knows that true love never requires the sacrifice of self-respect. She will not trade her inner peace for fleeting moments of attention. Self-love and integrity are the foundation of every other standard. They allow her to walk in love without fear of loss, because the only thing she cannot lose is herself. And when a man sees this, he understands she is not someone he can keep through power games. He can only walk beside her if he respects her journey and values. A woman like this never needs to declare her worth out loud. She lives it. Every decision, every word, every boundary she sets reflects the love she has for herself. And it is this very love that makes her irreplaceable to those who value her and untouchable to those who seek only what comes easily. Self-respect is more than a sense of pride. It is the quiet foundation shaping every romantic decision a high-value woman makes. It is her inner compass, guiding her toward relationships that elevate her and away from anything that diminishes her worth. When her self-respect is solid, she doesn't seek love out of desperation, nor does she choose from a place of lack. She chooses from a place of worthiness. And that very selectiveness becomes a natural filter that removes what does not belong. A woman with self-respect never feels the need to convince anyone of her value. She doesn't lower her standards to keep someone, nor does she overlook disrespect out of fear of being alone. Her respect for herself is stronger than her fear of loss. This is why men who aren't serious leave quickly, while truly mature men are drawn in, recognizing that to walk beside her, they must show up as the best version of themselves. Her allure doesn't come from flashy appearances or clever seduction, but from the energy of wholeness. When she enters a room, she doesn't scramble for everyone's attention. Her confident presence draws it naturally. She isn't loud, yet people want to listen. She never tries to prove she's worthy of love, because her love for herself already creates a magnetic pull. Self-respect also dictates how she responds to half-hearted interest. If someone only shows up when convenient, replies when it suits them, or offers attention in crumbs, she doesn't cling or try to change them. She values her time and energy too much to waste it on those who don't appreciate it. A gentle but decisive, "Thank you, but I'm looking for more consistent presence," is enough to end a misaligned connection. Men unwilling to commit often feel pressure around her, not because she demands too much, but because she refuses to accept too little. This firmness makes them question whether they're mature enough to step up. For men of value, however, it is an invitation to rise higher, because they know that with her they will have to live with intention and responsibility. She is not swayed by fleeting excitement, vague promises, or grand gestures that burn brightly then vanish. She looks deeper at how a man lives daily, how he keeps his word, how he respects boundaries, and how he treats those around him. She knows stability is the true foundation of happiness, while short-lived intensity is only a flash that fades. Self-respect also allows her to decline with grace. If someone is not right for her, she doesn't turn it into a battle or a chance to prove herself right. She simply says no and keeps moving. She doesn't need a villain to feel like a victor. Her victory is in keeping her peace and never losing herself. The beauty of living with self-respect is that her relationships are not driven by need, but by choice. Those who remain by her side do so because they want to, not because they have to. And she stays with them because she chooses to, not because she fears the emptiness. This creates a healthy connection where both are free yet deeply bonded. Ultimately, self-respect is the light by which she makes every decision. It reminds her that real love is never found by lowering standards to gain acceptance, but by upholding them until she finds someone willing to meet them. And when she walks in that self-respect, she not only chooses the right partner, she becomes the very kind of woman any man of value would want to cherish and keep close. A high-value woman never lets herself be lulled by sweet words if the actions don't align. She knows promises are cheap, but consistency is priceless. Anyone can say, "I love you, I'll change," or "I want something serious," but she refuses to let her heart be led by sound alone. She watches and she trusts what she sees. For her, words are only the beginning. Actions are the proof. If a man says he respects her, she looks at how he behaves when he's busy, when he's tired, and when no one is watching. If he promises to be there when needed, she lets time answer for her. She doesn't get swept away by grand promises made in emotional highs because she knows real value lies in the ability to sustain what was said, even when the initial excitement has faded. She doesn't fall for someone's promised version. She values the present version. Promises can paint a beautiful future, but the present is the truest measure. If the present lacks respect or effort, no string of words will change that. Through experience, she has learned that potential means nothing unless it's converted into reality through action. The gap between words and actions is a red flag she never ignores. If someone says they want commitment but disappears without explanation, she won't invent excuses for them. If someone claims to be serious but never takes initiative, she knows that seriousness exists only in speech. She doesn't waste energy decoding mixed signals because she understands when someone truly cares, they make it clear you never have to guess. When words and actions don't match, she doesn't explode in anger or demand endless explanations. She steps back, observes, and decides. She knows that if actions have betrayed words once, the likelihood of it happening again is high unless the other person takes ownership and makes a genuine change. She chooses to trust behavioral patterns over quick, apologetic phrases. A high-value woman understands that lasting love is built on small, steady consistencies, not on occasional grand gestures. A daily message of care is worth more than a 3-page apology after weeks of silence. One promise kept in full outweighs a dozen new promises left unfulfilled. She pays attention to how someone upholds their commitments in ordinary times, not just when they're trying to make up for a mistake. For her, actions don't just confirm words, they reveal character. Punctuality, keeping promises, respecting time and personal space, treating those with no advantage to offer, all these are mirrors reflecting a person's true values. And if that reflection doesn't match the picture painted by words, she's willing to put the picture down. This doesn't mean she expects perfection. She knows everyone makes mistakes, has off days, or misses appointments. The difference lies in how those mistakes are handled. A man of value takes responsibility, repairs the damage, and strives not to repeat it. A man without commitment simply says, "I'm sorry," and slips back into old patterns. She doesn't need many chances to see which is which. Living by the principle that words must match actions protects her from draining relationships. She avoids the cycle of waiting, disappointment, and unconditional forgiveness. A few clear observations are all she needs to decide whether to continue or walk away. And once she decides, she moves forward without looking back. In her eyes, action is the most honest language. A man who truly loves her will show it through listening, caring, and keeping his word, not merely by speaking phrases that are easy to say. By holding to this principle, she not only safeguards her heart, but also sets a standard that anyone wishing to enter her life must rise to meet. A high-value woman does not let her heart be swept away by passing waves of emotion, no matter how intense or captivating they may feel. She knows emotions are a catalyst, but not a foundation. Infatuation, sudden surges of attraction, or spontaneous romantic gestures can make the heart race. But to build a lasting relationship requires more than that. It requires stability, consistency, and the ability to walk together through the ordinary days. She has experienced the firework effect before: brilliant, explosive, but short-lived. She has learned that not every light will guide her home, and not every flutter is worth chasing. Relationships built solely on initial emotion often fade once the novelty wears off, leaving emptiness and disappointment in their wake. That is why she does not judge a relationship by how it begins, but by how it is sustained. Choosing stability means choosing the man who shows up when he says he will, who doesn't disappear when things get hard, and who maintains respect even in disagreement. She knows stability is not boredom. It is the solid ground on which love can grow. While temporary emotions are like a strong wind capable of igniting the flame, but also of extinguishing it, stability is the steady, enduring fire that warms through the years. She pays attention to how a man responds when life doesn't go according to plan. A man who thrives only on emotional highs may disappear or shift his demeanor when pressure mounts. In contrast, a man who brings stability will honor his commitment and work through problems rather than run away. For her, this is the clearest indicator of whether someone can build a future alongside her. This choice is also an act of self-protection. She has no desire to live in a state of constant guessing, not knowing if tomorrow he will be warm or distant, attentive or silent. Love to her is not an emotional gamble, but the peace of knowing he will be there, not just in moments of ease, but also when the storms arrive. Importantly, she does not dismiss emotion. She values romance, the spark, and moments of deep connection, but she keeps them in their proper place. Emotion is seasoning, not the main course. Stability is what nourishes a relationship day after day. When a man can bring both the spark and the steadiness, she recognizes it as a rare and precious combination. She also understands that stability does not mean the absence of conflict. Every relationship will face disagreements, but the difference lies in how they are handled. A man who offers stability will not avoid issues, withdraw into silence, or use anger to overpower. He knows how to listen, engage, and seek common ground. She sees this as a sign of maturity in a healthy partnership. When faced with romantic decisions, she does not ask, "How does he make me feel today?" but rather, "How many tomorrows can he walk through with me?" This question helps her distinguish between fleeting excitement and long-term potential. She knows a man may make her smile today, but without stability, he could leave her to cry alone tomorrow. Choosing stability over temporary emotion is choosing to invest in what remains after the intoxication fades. It demands clarity, emotional discipline, and patience to observe. But in return, she gains a relationship that not only stirs her heart, but also anchors her mind. And for a high-value woman, that sense of peace is one of the deepest forms of happiness. The standards of a high-value woman are not written in some idealistic handbook, they are etched into her through the life she has lived. Every boundary, every principle, every never, and every always has been forged in the fire of experience, paid for with time, tears, and trust. She does not set standards to make things difficult for others, but to protect herself from what she knows will cause her harm. She has stayed too long in relationships that had already decayed, believing patience could save them. She has given far more than she received, hoping love would inspire the other person to change. She has ignored warning signs out of fear of being alone, convincing herself that everyone has flaws, when in truth, what was missing was respect. Those experiences have not made her bitter, they have made her clear. Experience taught her that loving someone for their potential is the quickest road to disappointment. She has once seen the best version someone could become and chosen to love that version instead of who they truly were in the present. But she learned if a person does not choose to grow into that version themselves, no amount of her love can take them there. From that, a principle was born. She only chooses someone whose present self is already aligned with her values, never gambling on promises that haven't taken shape. She has also learned that forgiving the same mistake over and over is no longer forgiveness, it is acceptance. And when she accepts what violates her values, she not only loses the other person's respect, but she also erodes her own self-respect. That is why her standards include the willingness to walk away when a pattern of behavior remains unchanged. Even if her heart still feels something, painful experiences have taught her the value of guarding her time, energy, and peace. Once she gave these away freely to those who didn't appreciate them, now she knows these are treasures to be entrusted only to those who offer respect and safety in return. Her standards are not high to make people struggle to meet them. They are clear so that the wrong ones will remove themselves. What makes her standards powerful is their consistency. She does not set a boundary only to dismantle it when emotions take over. She does not lower her principles out of fear of losing someone. She knows a standard only has value when it remains steady, regardless of who is present or absent in her life. This steadfastness creates a magnetic pull that only the serious will respond to. Experience has also given her the wisdom to distinguish between compromise and self-abandonment. She is willing to be flexible on small matters, but she will never give up her core values. If a man asks her to be silent when she needs to speak, to look away when she needs to confront, or to change her nature just to fit his mold, she knows that is no longer love, it is control. And real love never demands that someone trade away their identity. Importantly, her standards do not make her closed off. She does not build cold walls to keep people away. Instead, she opens a clear doorway. This is the path to her heart, and this is what must be brought: respect, consistency, and sincere intent. Those who have them are welcomed, those who don't quietly turn away. In the end, her standards are not about controlling others, but about reminding herself of her worth. Whenever emotions tempt her to settle for less, she looks back at her past lessons and remembers the strength it took to rise from them. And that is why she never returns to places that once made her lose herself. The confidence of a high-value woman is not something she wears like a temporary layer. It is woven into the core of who she is, present in every thought, every action. It is quiet, unforced, yet unmistakable in the way she walks, the way she speaks, and even the way she remains silent. Her confidence does not come from believing she is perfect, but from knowing herself, knowing who she is, what she needs, and what she does not need in order to feel whole. Her maturity is revealed in her ability to separate reaction from response. She does not let fleeting emotions dictate her words, nor does she unload past wounds onto someone new. When a problem arises, she is not concerned with assigning blame. She is focused on finding solutions. She does not avoid the truth, but delivers it with language sharp enough to be clear and soft enough to avoid unnecessary harm. This is the kind of maturity that makes others feel they are speaking to someone who listens, respects, and can guide a conversation toward resolution. To her, genuine connection is never about surface display. She is not swayed by public shows on social media, loud gifts, or empty compliments. What she values is presence when the other person is truly listening, truly caring, and truly there, both mentally and emotionally. A timely touch, a question born of genuine interest, or the daily consistency of care means far more to her than any grand gesture staged for attention. Her confidence frees her from playing roles to impress. She does not pretend to be easygoing when she actually needs clarity. She does not act like the woman who asks for nothing just to be kept around. She speaks openly about what she wants, not to impose, but because she knows honesty is the only foundation for a lasting relationship. When she says, "This is what I need," it is not a test, it is an invitation to step into a space of truth. In conversation, she does not argue to win, she exchanges to understand. She knows that in a healthy relationship, one person's victory should not be the other's loss. If no common ground can be found, she is willing to walk away without turning it into a battle of egos. This calmness protects not just herself, but the relationship from unnecessary wounds. Confidence also gives her the strength to be unafraid of emptiness. If a man cannot walk with her in a healthy way, she will let him go. She understands that losing someone does not mean losing her own worth. She will not compromise with ambiguity, nor cling to a connection that survives only out of habit. Her maturity reminds her that loving the right person is a joy, but loving the wrong one is a lesson she has no need to repeat. What makes her connection different is that it comes from fullness, not from lack. She does not seek someone to fill a void. She seeks someone to share her completeness with. This creates an energy that draws people in. Naturally, they feel safe, not pressured to prove themselves. Yet they also realize that being with her is a privilege that calls them to bring their best. Ultimately, confidence, maturity, and genuine connection form the trio that makes a high-value woman stand out in a noisy world. She does not have to compete to be seen. Her presence alone is enough to be noticed. When she speaks, people listen, not because she is loud, but because every word carries the weight of honesty and respect. And when she loves, it is a love that is both deep and discerning, warm and unwavering. She knows she does not need anyone to complete her, but she is ready to open her heart to someone who can walk beside her, keep pace, and honor the path ahead. For her, a relationship is not a place to find herself again. It is a space where two whole people journey side by side, lifting each other higher and becoming better together.